one more day left. Today we're at the weigh-in,
right.
Where all of these countries, these ethnicities are going to face off against each other in the square circle. The vibe is good at the weigh-in. I mean, Chicago has a fight night tomorrow.
Listen, we thought this wasn't going to be huge, but because the camps come from different worlds where, especially in the UK, they very, very much stand behind their fighters. So this is the big thing. And listen, different nations, all the same goal, and that's either to become a world champion or to defend their title.
And there's so many fights that are going to be, that are sleepers, you know, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Like the Johnson, can you pronounce the gentleman's name for me, please?
Peterviev.
I've been working on that name all week.
Still ain't got it.
But that's going to be a fight that you guys want to look out for, obviously outside of the obvious, the Big Baby Millers, Itamax, the main events, Jesse Vargas versus Thomas Delorme. It's going to be a hell of a welterweight showdown. But before the weigh-in, we're going to talk to
the man himself,
the voice of boxing, Michael Buffer.
Michael Buffer, where's he at? Here we are, Michael Buffer.
Let's get ready for Ak and Barack on the zone.
It's good to have you, man.
I can retire now. He said my name, I can retire.
Listen, Michael, I mean, the landscape of boxing right now is so interesting, obviously. You know, you spend many years over at HBO. After 45 years, the network is done with the sport. What was your initial reaction once you heard the news?
Yeah, first of all, I got to tell you, I've always been an independent, and after 36 years, this is the very first time I've been in an exclusive arrangement.
Wow.
It's with Dazn and Matchroom, and I'm loving every minute of it.
That must mean they bought you a lot of suits.
Yeah, a lot of
in order to get you.
Oh, my tail was very happy.
Okay, good.
Not that he was in need for money. You know?
Definitely wasn't.
So I mean, this is kind of bittersweet, right, for some people, but it's good for Dazn, right? Where, you know, a big major player is kind of out of the way, so to speak.
It's great for Dazn. It's great for Matchroom. I'm proud to be with them. But this first card here in the States, you know, a couple weeks ago we had AJ at Wembley, 80,000 fans. But I'm looking at the overall card here. 3 world title fights tomorrow night, plus Baby Miller, right? And the main event, 2 of the best welterweights going at it for our featured bout. And the fans here, you know, this is what Eddie Hearn and Matchroom bring to Dazn. In England, when they tell you the fights are going to start at 5 o'clock, everybody's there. It's not like when you're looking at a pay-per-view fight in Las Vegas, the seats are empty until the main event. Exactly. So the fans in America are going to have to learn, get here, because you're going to see 13 fights, and it's all great. And everybody watching on DAZN gets to see them all, too.
Absolutely. I think this is sleeper of the year. And because of the fights, because of the matchups, because that's what makes boxing, matchups.
Exactly.
I think because of the matchups, we're going to get good fights, we're going to get knockouts. And I can guarantee it's going to be knockouts. And if not, I'll pay.
You're going to guarantee it?
Listen, I guarantee it. If not, I'll pay everybody's subscription for the first month of DAZN. How's that?
Yeah.
I'll pay everybody's subscription.
By the
in
way,
the world.
folks, I just want to let you know. Order now. You get the first month for free anyway, okay?
Listen,
you can't beat that.
I'm
sorry, I blew your deal.
And you know what else? You know, a lot of people are talking about the McGregor-Khabib fight, right? But the beauty about DAZN is that it's on demand. So you want to go out and watch the, you know, for those that are not in Chicago, whoever's in Chicago needs to be in the building at Wintrust Arena. But for those that are not, you know, you get home late, you can put it on. It's always available. I mean, like, how do you feel about boxing being broadcasted in that manner?
Well, what's going to be great about that on demand is when we go to England, we have fights, and the upcoming fight in Monte Carlo, it'll be on like in the afternoon. But don't worry about it. You just come home. You're not gonna know what the results are. Sit there and watch the whole fight, the whole event, later that night, or before you go to bed, or when you wake up in the morning.
And then obviously you can watch Ak and Barack on the post-fight show, because we're gonna give you our reaction to every fight. You know what I mean? So yeah, this card, I believe, is a sleeper. Like he said, a lot of people didn't realize there's 3 world title fights. This is the first card official by themselves, DAZN, in the United States. I'm excited to be a part of it. And how do you feel about actually being the only guy? No Sky Sports
here at the weigh-in. This is like, you know, the music, and we've got a big crowd. And I love this arena, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
You know, everybody always thinks about United Center. You got to be there.
Right.
This is the new home for DePaul University.
Okay.
Every seat has great sight lines, so the fans that come out tonight, tomorrow night are going to see, you know, no matter where they are, they're going to have a good seat.
Well, we're going to see if the fighters look ready. That's what we're worried about. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Has your voice ever cracked saying your infamous line?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Are you serious?
And you know, sometimes doing too many interviews, like I am right now, but seriously, before Mayweather and Pacquiao, I had done so many interviews all week. Then we had the weigh-in. I woke up Saturday morning of the fight, no voice.
Wow.
Gone.
So do you have a special tea or something that you drink before?
Yeah, my wife. It was chicken soup and gargle with salt water and throat tea. And I just barely got it out.
What's your favorite part of fight week? You know, you've been in this so long. I mean, I know there's different.
Besides the fight.
Besides the fight.
You know, it's the best part. The weigh-in sometimes you might have characters, you might have pushing, shoving. That's exciting. Or you might have guys that are just entertaining and they sell the fight. Press conference is usually great. I love to see the press conference when the guys are starting to get a little anxious and nervous. If they have to make weight, they're like a day or two away from the weigh-in, and they're a little energized with like, man, I can't wait to have something to eat Friday night. And fight night, that's when it all matters. That's when I really want to be there.
We're excited to hear your voice come tomorrow night. Thanks for talking with us.
I'm good to be here with you guys. I love it. Good to see
Michael
you.
Buff,
Pleasure.
My pleasure's mine.
We got Sugar Ray Leonard coming in.
Uh-oh.
Bring him over.
Hall of Fame. Let me give him my mic.
Yeah, give him your mic. Thank you.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Hall of Fame fighter, one of the greatest that ever did it.
So we got
What's up, brother? How you? Good to see you again.
another legend in the building. What's going on, man? Looking like you about to weigh in now, man. Looking in shape.
Always in shape. Listen,
What are you eating?
I want to let you know that I follow your videos on Instagram.
Oh, yeah?
I can't do your workout yet, but I'm following them. You understand?
It's a gradual progression. Just take your time.
Right.
Just take your time. Yeah. You can do it.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
Okay.
You're doing good on there, though. I see you in good shape. You're looking good.
So listen, I mean, obviously we spent some time in London, huge fight, you know, but it was affiliated with Sky Sports. This is new. This is the first time the Zone is attacking a card by themselves. How do you feel about like being here in the U.S. representing the Zone?
Well, fantastic. You know, this is a sport that's made me who I am.
Yes.
I mean, I love boxing. I mean,
Right.
it's been such a blessing for me to be a part of something that's going to be so legendary.
Right. I mean, this new way of showing boxing to the people on demand from their devices is something that obviously in your era wasn't available. You had to be on a tube. Now it's so accessible to people. Do you think this will make boxing bigger than it ever was?
Well, the accessibility of it is amazing. And, I mean, this will give boxing that shot of adrenaline that it needs.
Right. Well, look, the Zone is really taking off. Are you? And you're an ambassador for the Zone. Are you traveling more now than when you was champ? When you was an active champ? Because you're always going to be champ.
I think I've been home like 2 days since that UK meeting.
Since London.
Since London, yes. And that was great. It was just too cold.
Right. It was.
Too cold.
It was
and
too
then,
cold.
you know, the hour difference and the time zones and stuff like that. I mean, what about your family? Are they okay with, you know, not that you're old, but I'm saying you're a man of a certain age, right?
No, but you lean that way. I'm old. Yes, I am old. Yes, I am.
You just don't look it.
Are you okay with all the traveling?
I'm okay with the travel. Yeah. But I see my guys, man, and it's wonderful.
Right. Listen, how is it for these? How do you feel when you give advice to these fighters and they hang on to your advice because you've accomplished so much? Do you take that lightly or what?
No. It's very serious, and it is my honor. It's my pleasure. It's like when I got advice from Muhammad Ali.
Wow.
From Muhammad Ali, gave me some pointers that I cherish, and you know what? Again, boxing has given me so much.
You gotta pass it along.
I reciprocate.
Great. I mean, you're obviously a huge boxing fan. Give me a couple of names out there that excite you in terms of fighters. Like, who are the guys that you look forward to seeing? Like, if you're not part of the card, or you know, even on Matchroom or on DAZN, give me a couple of names. Who excites you?
I mean, there's so many, from Keith Thurman to Triple G. I mean, it's just too many to call off.
Right. So do you feel you're confident that the Anthony Joshua Wilder fight is going to happen next year? You feel good about that?
Put it this way, that has to happen.
Has to happen.
For boxing,
Agreed.
for themselves, for their legacy, it has to happen.
And who wins that fight?
We will see.
What about tomorrow night? Any of these fights on the card that really excite you?
Well, Roman.
Oh yeah,
He's a beast. Yeah. I mean, all these guys. Right. It's going to be a good fight. I mean, entertainment. Dazn.
The zone, exactly. No, man, and after this, we got about a week and a half or so, then we're in Boston for another middleweight showdown. I mean, boxing is, in my opinion, it's like thriving right now, and I'm feeling good about it.
Well, you know what? Dazn is doing something so incredible, and I'm happy to be a part of it because that too will be a legacy.
Right. How do you feel about HBO hanging it up after so many years?
I was shocked to hear that, and but you know what? HBO's been around for a long time, but Dazn now,
right, lives on, right? I mean, all great things come to an end, as they say, right? So, I mean, I'm happy to be on this ship that's actually taking off now with Dazn.
Well, you know what? We're gonna take off together.
Yes, we're taking off. But we didn't get a chance to get on a private jet like you going to London, you know?
Well, you
didn't kick back.
Well, you didn't beat Tommy Hearns or Hagler.
That's a good point.
Neither did I want to fight neither one of them. Neither did anybody else on that broadcast team. But we were there since Monday doing a bunch of other stuff, yo. Next time we're gonna find our way to that Dazn jet.
Call me, and next time you be on the plane.
There you go. You see that?
We're gonna hold them to that.
Yeah, all the folks over at Dazn. Ray says we have to be on a private jet the next time, so it's official right now. The legend, the Hall of Famer.
So how do you figure this? You're gonna always be involved in boxing no matter what?
Boxing's my life. Boxing, I will always be in boxing. No question about that. Right. I can't foresee myself. I can't fathom not being involved.
But also, you're actually doing the motivational speaking, like around the world. We spoke to your business partner, and he was talking about some of the things that you're doing outside of boxing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I've been doing motivational speaking for 30 years or more. Wow. And, you know, I love it because it's all about being a fighter outside the ring.
Yes.
Determination.
Yes.
Believe in yourself.
Yes.
You get knocked down, do what? Get back up. Right. It's all the same principles that I apply to become champion are applicable in everyday life.
Right. What's one of the key pieces of advice that you give to the audience when you go to one of these motivational, conferences, so to speak? Like, what's the most important thing you want them to leave out of there with?
To believe in yourself, because if you don't, no one else will.
Amen. 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 That's a beautiful, and you heard that from the champ himself. Incredible.
Thanks, man.
You are definitely an inspiration to everyone, especially on Dazn. We're happy to have you. We're definitely happy to have you.
Well, thank you, and looking forward to hearing you call the fight tomorrow night. We're gonna talk to another colleague, Dazn colleague coming in, Chris Mannix.
Yes. Uh-oh. Thank you, sir.
All right, brother.
God bless you.
All right, man.
I'll take that.
We're playing musical chairs here.
We got our guy here, Chris Mannix.
It's always nice. You go from Michael Buffer to Sugar Ray Leonard to Chris Mannix. You know, Ray and I in the car ride over were playing the game of if we get into a car crash and die, which one of us gets top billing? I thought it was close, me and Ray. I mean, I thought it was...
Listen, Chris,
all right, ladies and gentlemen.
It was first announced,
Good
I think a lot of people in the boxing world didn't realize there were 3 championship fights, and a few of the fights are sleepers. I mean, can you describe like what people should expect tomorrow night?
Well, look, it's interesting, especially on the undercard. I'll say that. I'm intrigued by Vargas and Delorme, but the undercard is most intriguing. Look, Jarrell Miller's sitting there, and it's not a championship fight, but it could lead to a championship fight. Jarrell Miller needs to not only win, but win impressively. He's racked up wins, he's undefeated, but he's yet to have that impressive statement win. He needs to do that. And I'm most excited to see the return of Artur Beterbiev. I'll get his name right for tomorrow. He is a special talent.
Yes, absolutely. He's a champion. I think that's going to be a killer fight. They both go forward, and they both have crazy knockout ratios. It's going to be probably the fight of the night.
And then his opponent, Johnson, he has a big crowd, a big entourage here.
They're all here today.
They're going to have a tough night.
British fans do travel. Callum Johnson's fans are all in the building. But, you know, I spent a lot of time talking to rival promoters and other matchmakers just about Beterbiev, and his power impresses them. He's a little inactive in terms of just in the ring throwing punches, but when he throws, he is a special, special guy. I think he could make a real step forward tomorrow night.
He had that type of buzz for a while, and then it kind of simmered down. What happened in between that time to now?
I mean, promotional issues came up, inactivity came up, dealing with mandatory stuff came up. Now, though, he's got the co-promotion deal. He's here with Matchroom. Right. One thing we know about what Eddie Hearn's doing is he keeps fighters busy. He's going to keep these guys busy over the next year.
He also keeps us busy.
Yes.
So how do you feel about this being the first exclusive Dazn promoted, Matchroom promoted Dazn exclusive fight?
I'm excited. I'm excited. Look, I expect a good crowd at Wintrust here where we're at tomorrow night.
Right.
And as you guys alluded to, I mean, look, let's be honest. Like, Vargas Delorme is not the sexiest names at the top of the thing, but there's a lot of depth to this card. There's 4 fights out here that are relevant. The women's fight, I think, is going to be impressive. I'm a big fan of Jessica McCaskill, who lost to Katie Taylor about a year ago. I think that has the potential to be good. So all around, good fights in this card.
Not to mention the potential fight after Delorme, Vargas fight, potentially fighting Sean Porter.
I will say that I think I'm more likely to be dead than that fight actually happening. I mean, like, it just the WBC.
Sean fights Errol Spence, I believe.
Errol Spence. Keith Thurman is the WBC champion in recess. I can't keep track of these sanctioning bodies and what they're. But no matter what, look, it's a crossroads type of fight. Delorme, we talked to him yesterday. He knows that. He needs a big win. Jesse Vargas, even though I thought he beat Adrian Broner, he needs a big win. Both these guys know whether it's the mandatory position or something else, a win catapults them to something significant.
It's funny how we're talking about, certain fighters like they don't have any opponents. Okay, so we're talking about Big Baby Miller. He has a live dog in there. Maybe the live dog is a little old, maybe a little bit past his prime. But let's say Big Baby gets past him. Do you think he's ready for that April showdown with Anthony Joshua, the man himself?
I think Jarrell Miller is as ready as he's going to be for that matchup, but he has to make himself more marketable. You can't go 11 rounds in a relatively boring fight with Marius Walk. You can't go the distance with Duopas and expect for a voluntary defense for Anthony Joshua. I want to fight that guy. These guys are looking for marketable opponents. Tyson Fury is a marketable opponent. Jarrell Miller needs to go out there and stop Tomas Adamek, do it emphatically, do it in a spectacular fashion. If he does that, we all want to see Wilder Joshua, but Jarrell Miller could be next in line if he does it here tomorrow night.
Is it fair to say that if this fight goes to distance, it's going to be a real bad look for Jarrell and his stock is going to go down?
Yeah, because, look, Tomas Adamek is 41 years old. He's come back. He's won 3 low-level fights in a row. He's not, at this point, he's not in the same league as Jarrell Miller. So Jarrell Miller's got to go out there, stop him clean, referee stoppage, whatever it is, look spectacular, or else he could be right back at the drawing board.
So maybe we're more likely to see Joshua fight White instead of anyone.
Maybe. Look, White had his chance, right? Yeah. He had his chance. He's best known at this point for getting knocked out by Anthony Joshua. Like, he's a good fighter, but give me somebody new. Give me Jarrell Miller, undefeated American. If you want to come to the U.S. and do it, great. If you want to do it over there, do it, great. But Miller, this is the biggest opportunity of Jarrell Miller's career, hands down, tomorrow night.
I want to touch on what you said earlier. It's not that Tyson Fury is the most exciting fighter in the ring.
Not to
either.
you, maybe. I think he's the best.
But outside of the ring, there's so much personality in it. I guess that's where the marketability comes in.
It is, but every time Tyson Fury fights, he comes to fight. He's going in there to either knock somebody out or get knocked out. I mean, the Klitschko fight, it was ugly, but I don't think that was his fault. I go back to the Steve Cunningham fight where Cunningham knocked him down. You don't get the sense, and Jarrell Miller is a volume puncher, has been, but you don't get the sense that he's always there to go for the knockout every time. Tyson Fury, I think, is.
Let's take a look at the face-off real quick. We're going this young heavyweight right here is really interesting to me, man. He's big in shape heavyweight, decorated amateur. I mean, what do you think about? It's his pro debut. What do you think is going through a pro debut fighter's mind on a card like this?
Well, I think he's saying, you know what, I got to make a statement. Even though it's my first fight, I got to make a statement, and I got to prove myself.
Yeah, there are a lot of good you know, guys making their pro debut on this card. It's always fun to watch because I go to a lot of major fights and you see, you know, the young guys, the Danny Garcia's fighting. Like, all these young guys start somewhere, and these are the first stops for these young guys tonight.
I mean, an important guy like yourself, do you ever catch those early fights and they start early, those 4-rounders?
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever make it your business to say, I want to see what this young kid has?
Oftentimes, yeah, especially if it's a decorated former Olympian that's starting his career. Usually they end in a round or two, but it's always important to go get there and see it.
Absolutely. I remember watching Terrence Crawford years ago and seeing that this kid right here, I think he's going to be special. And to see him now, you know, he's at the top of my pound-for-pound list.
Terrence Crawford, I mean, look, one thing we were talking about Terrence Crawford with Ray earlier, his problem is going to be opponents moving forward. Like, he's got Benavidez coming up in a couple of weeks, next week actually. And after that, what do you do with Terrence Crawford? But you're right. These young guys that have a lot of hype behind them, Crawford was one, a lot of the PBC guys are another, so it's always good to see these young guys in action.
I think that a lot of fighters are going to start taking a page out of Mikey Garcia's book and wanting to be more of a free agent, so those fights can happen on any network, any promotion company.
When you're at a younger age, you can't do that, but when you get to Mikey Garcia's stage, or any of the PBC guys' stage, or Gennady Golovkin, or Canelo Alvarez, it is dumb to sign long-term contracts. Miguel Cotto had the blueprint for this.
Right.
He finished his contract with Top Rank, he went over to Mayweather, he went to Golden Boy, he went back to Top Rank. You keep moving around, signing 1 or 2 fight deals, and give yourself maximum flexibility, but on whatever network you want. I would like to see it. And I'd like to see more networks who have historically, and HBO kind of set the trend for this, who have historically said, we want guys on 3, 4, 5 fight deals to be okay with a guy coming over for a significant fight for 1 fight.
Now, what's your take on the whole HBO thing? We talked to Ray about it. We talked to Michael about it. I haven't really got your take on the whole HBO thing. I mean, is this good for boxing, bad for boxing?
I don't think HBO going out of business can be good for boxing. HBO has for a long time been the gold standard in boxing broadcasting. But look, if you want to be in boxing broadcasting today, you have to have deep pockets. And I'm talking $100+ million a year in deep pockets. HBO, for whatever reason, decided that it wasn't worth that type of investment. It's bizarre, to say the least, to see 2 premium networks do a lot of the same things, Showtime and HBO. Their research indicates, Showtime says our subscribers love boxing, it drives subscribers. HBO says it doesn't. We're out. It's crazy to think that there are 2 premium networks that see things differently. But short answer, no, not good for boxing, HBO.
I believe they saw things differently because they had different rosters. HBO had a smaller roster, and Showtime's putting on double the amount of shows. So now you have DAZN in the mix. So it's all about really just providing the fans with the right boxes.
No, but it's kind of bittersweet, though, because now, like, it's a transition phase. There are a lot of articles being put out there where DAZN is in the mix. Like, they're a major player now, so I guess that's good for us, you know, and our platform. And I think a lot of those HBO fans are a little older, you know, guys that are hardcore fans, and we want to target, you know, the casuals as well. And I think this is a good direction to go in.
Look, this was not 6 months in the making, a year in the making.
Correct.
They were, like, really, you go back to when they decided under Ken Hirschman that they weren't going to deal with Al Heyman anymore. Yes. And he went over to Showtime, and that eliminated a large chunk of fighters. Then the deal with Top Rank made with ESPN, that eliminated like 80% of their stable. So when you have that and you have DAZN coming in with Eddie's Matchroom guys behind it, the potential to sign guys is limited to Golden Boy, which, I mean, doesn't have anybody really of relevance outside of Canelo Alvarez at this point. And you've got Tom Loeffler Promotions. And I'm sorry, I'd rather scratch my eyeballs out than watch another Superfly show. I can't do Superfly.
I think that's since HBO has the longest track record. The good thing about those kind of fans is that they're just looking for boxing. You know, so it really doesn't matter what network it's on. It's just, is there boxing available?
Look, and, you know, boxing fans now more than ever are asked to pay a lot to watch boxing. You have to pay for HBO, for Showtime, now for DAZN, for ESPN Plus, where there are a lot of fights on. But HBO coming out of the mix, boxing fans that are only subscribing for boxing. Look, I'm a Game of Thrones guy. I'm not ditching my subscription. There's no chance that if DAZN wants to pick like season 9 of that or whatever it is, I'm good with that. But if there are boxing fans that say, I don't want to pay for HBO anymore, DAZN presents DAZN, ESPN Plus are the same price as HBO per month. So
I was actually one of them. I only subscribed just for boxing.
How likely
You're not a Game of Thrones guy?
No.
How likely?
That's depressing.
How likely is it that Canelo Alvarez or somebody of his stature come over to DAZN?
I'm skeptical in their next fight that Canelo or Golovkin would do it. You know, Golovkin, I talked to his promoter, Tom Loeffler, and he rattled down the list of potential opponents, but the one guy he wants for his next fight, if it's not Canelo, is Murata, the kid fighting out of Japan.
Okay.
He wants to take him over there, help grow the Golovkin brand. Murata is affiliated with Top Rank, so it seems unlikely. But down the line, could we maybe see the Canelo-Golovkin rematch on DAZN? Yes. Maybe. I think that's a possibility.
Let's go over to the stage right now. We got undefeated fighter weighing in right now. That's it.
They're bringing up Anthony Sims Jr. in a minute.
Yes.
Anthony Sims Jr. is a terrific,
He's a very polarizing guy
Right.
outside of the ring. Now we're going to see
what he can do
perform inside the ring.
He's another young guy entering the light heavyweight division. That division, as we'll see with Beterbiev on Saturday,
Right.
we've got Eleider Alvarez fighting, Kovalev still in the mix, one of the more exciting divisions in all of boxing.
And we get this a lot where you have the new guy, he fights on your undercard, and then maybe 5 years later he's fighting you.
Yeah.
You know, it's a pretty good thing.
No, I agree with Chris that this division right now is really exciting. I mean, look, a lot of people are counting Kovalev out. A lot of people are counting Kovalev out of the picture, but I mean, he's still a threat.
73.5 pounds. 173.5.
Kovalev fights with a lot of brawn, but not a lot of brains in some of his recent fights. The Andre Ward fight, the Alvarez fight, he just doesn't know how to fight when he gets hurt. It's interesting. I can relate that to something we might see in Callum Johnson and Beterbiev. I mean, Beterbiev has been the bully for a long time. He is a physical, intimidating guy.
Absolutely.
Callum Johnson, you know, what helped Alvarez win that fight against Kovalev was going straight at Kovalev and not be intimidated by him.
Right.
I would expect Callum Johnson to try something similar on Saturday night.
What do you think is next for one of those guys, either guy after the win? Johnson and Beterbiev.
Beterbiev or Beterbiev?
Well, look, Beterbiev is going to look to unify. Now, where you go and what kind of money you can make is a little bit difficult. Adonis Stevenson is, I guess, you can call him one of the money guys, though his inactivity is maddening.
Ridiculous.
You know, Bivol, I think, is somebody we could see fighting on DAZN at some point.
Where does he fit in all of this?
Bivol's a talented guy, but I was at his last fight. He was on the undercard of the Kovalev
Wasn't
one.
impressive.
Yeah.
Not impressive.
No,
I mean,
you know, what's your take on, like, we're looking at these light heavyweights here, and they're obviously, you know, in the early stage of their career, but don't you think guys like Lomachenko and all these other guys set the tone where maybe you don't have to fight 30 fights before you get a big shot? I mean, you think a lot of these young fighters are starting to realize that I can get to a certain level a lot quicker?
Especially the young guys that have deep amateur pedigrees, that have been to the Olympics multiple times. They don't want to wait. I mean, a lot of guys you see turning pro 18, 19, you take your time with some of those guys. I mean, Erickson Lubin was somebody that did that at a young age. There's no rush. You want to get into your mid-20s before you start really worrying about title shots. But some of these other guys you mentioned, Beterbiev is one, Lomachenko's another, extensive amateur experience. They don't want to wait. There's no need to wait.
I'm okay with that myself. You know, a lot of people are saying, oh, this guy should wait, he should wait. If you're ready and they're up for the challenge, I'm okay giving a young guy the shot, especially with the decorated amateur career.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So we got the little guys on the scale now. Man, I mean, you'd be so. A lot of these, you know, casual fans don't realize. You know, they see some of these small fighters and they see them in person. These frames don't realize like, how hard these guys really hit.
They hit hard and they throw a lot of punches.
117. 117.
Now he can go eat.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the undefeated Sean Simpson.
I thought Jarrell Miller made a good point at the press conference the other day where he's like, man, you got a lot of good food around here. Like, and you got a whole bunch of fighters trying to make weight. What are you doing?
So you cater to the press.
No, but I mean, the good thing about heavyweight, and I always bring it up, man, these guys don't need to make weight. And especially a guy like Big Baby, where people complain about him coming in over 300 pounds, but he still has the most output than all the heavyweights out there.
Sometimes that could be their downfall. You don't have to make weight, but you should monitor your eating and make it go according to your workouts,
I'm in terms of like his career, he's still letting his hands go in the 11th and 12th round at that weight. So how can people complain about it?
But it's like kind of like what Chris said. He's letting his hands go, but is
he hurting people?
Is it really bad intentions with those shots?
Right.
I seen him fight a whole fight where he didn't sit down on any of his punches.
Right. Good point.
Listen, is there any fighter that you say that maybe Matchroom or DAZN should like break the bank for?
Yes, Canelo Alvarez.
I say Mikey Garcia. I think he has a longer shelf life, if you ask me.
You can't go wrong with either of those guys. But honestly, given the way that their stable is shaping up, and now let's speak sort of hypothetically for the future. You've got Danny Jacobs fighting on October 27th.
Yes.
The assumption is when Jacobs finishes his HBO contract, he comes over to Dazn. So now you might have one middleweight title holder. Next week in Boston, we're going to have Andre, maybe, presumably fighting Billy Joe Saunders. If not, he'll be fighting for a vacant title. Right. So now you have two middleweight title holders. Now, if you look at Canelo and Golovkin, to which one does the title matter most? I would argue Golovkin. Canelo doesn't seem to give a damn about titles all that much. He wants the paycheck. He's had a long-standing feud over the years with the WBC. For a guy like Golovkin, making those matches might be easier. Golovkin-Andre, Golovkin-Jacobs 2. Look, all the guys you mentioned, I'd be all for. Mikey Garcia, Canelo Alvarez. But I think Golovkin might be the most poachable in terms of getting multiple fights on the network.
Yeah, but does he translate into subscriptions? I mean, into the business side of it.
But, you know, you start with Golovkin, and then you wet the whistle of Canelo to try to make a rematch. I mean, that's kind of where you're at with that fight. I mean, if that fight's going to be on Dazn, what's it worth? They did 1.1 million pay-per-view buys in the last fight at almost $85 a pop. Right. That's real revenue that they generated.
Yes. And Chris, you know, I like the fact that Dazn is giving an opportunity to women boxing. For some reason, I'm feeling like it's back on the rise. It's back where people actually want to see these fights, and they're exciting fights. How do you feel about that?
Look, I like the fact that women's boxing is slowly getting promoted more, where we're starting to identify with fighters. Jessica McCaskill here, of course, she fought Katie Taylor a year ago, lost, tough fight, an action fight. And McCaskill believes that she's the hardest hitter in all of women's boxing. So, you know, if she comes out and has a spectacular performance, maybe a rematch with Katie Taylor could be an offing. Maybe Michaela Mayer is out there. We're starting to have some recognizable names in women's boxing. Headlined by, of course, Claressa Shields, who's '1.
Right. Well, McCaskill, she just weighed in. She just actually weighed 138 pounds. She has the hometown advantage. Hopefully that'll give her a little bit of edge. But what do you think about the champion?
Great story. I mean, you know, fights out of in Argentina, I believe Buenos Aires. I could be wrong on that one, but fights out of Argentina and just loves being here. Right. Loves being here.
She's happy to be here.
Really approachable. Yeah,
she's happy to be here.
Like,
definitely.
Has never turned down a fight ever.
No. I mean, she stays with a smile on her face. She definitely appreciates what she's doing.
Yeah.
Great.
No, I mean, it's great. I mean, I personally, a lot of people, you know, a lot of fight fans used to throw shots at the fact that, oh, women shouldn't be in the ring. But these women are putting the same amount of work in that the men are, the road work, the training, the dieting, and stuff like that. So there's no way that they should be undermined. When they're in that ring, they should be, eyeballs should be on them.
And listen, some of these fights are actually exciting. You got Amanda Serrano. She has a nice knockout ratio.
And look, you should take some time. Take time to learn some of these backstories. I mean, a woman like Jessica McCaskill, you know, she was basically homeless for a long period of time, was evicted from her school at one point, and it really had to scrap to get here. I mean, she has kind of that prototypical male boxer backstory where you came from like the seventh circle of hell to get to this point, and she's really earned it. And if you shake hands with her, I don't know if you guys did that this week.
No.
She's got some rocks in her hands. Like, she has got strong hands.
You brought up stories. I mean, you think that's the key to really get this sport to where it needs to be, telling more stories about these individuals, these young fighters?
I think there are two keys. One is storytelling and connecting an audience to the fighter. The other is, for women's boxing, you have to win spectacularly. You can be 28-0 with 12 knockouts and have nobody know who you are. Or you can be 7-0 with 7 knockouts and have everybody know who you are.
Right.
You've got to come out and you've got to knock people out.
I agree. It's also about timing. When you look at like somebody like Christy Martin, she kind of came in on the tail end of Mike Tyson, so she got compared to Mike Tyson. So, you know, in a male-driven world where they're really looking at your looks, it didn't matter how she looked, but she had a beautiful backstory.
Yep.
She had a beautiful backstory, and her performance kind of backed up her backstory.
She was on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
It's going to be a great fight here. Bantamweights here fighting. I think it's going to be an exciting fight. You know, McDonald's coming to win. He got a tough task ahead of him, though, with Roman.
Danny Roman is an excellent fighter. I watched his last fight against Moises Flores. It's almost a surprise to see Danny Roman here 4 months after the Flores fight. That was a tough fight. One thing about Danny Roman, if you get a look at him, the size difference, he is always a smaller fighter, always. He has become an expert at fighting bigger fighters, and he's got another bigger fighter in front of him Saturday night.
But he fights big.
He's probably still sore from his last fight. I mean, this is so
yeah, no, that was a war. Forget about it. No. I mean, as I'm here looking, watching the weigh-ins, man, I'm realizing this is going to be an entertaining card. I mean, people need to tune in this Saturday.
The depth of this card is excellent. Right. When you have this many good fights on the card, not just the 4 quote-unquote main event fights, but all the undercard fights, they're excellent. The women's fight, as we talked about, solid show.
How excited are you all for 10 days or so from now in Boston? I mean, if the fight does happen, it's going to be 2 of the most skilled middleweights in the world. Would you agree?
I would agree. Billy Joe Saunders really opened some eyes with the way he outboxed David Lemieux. We just saw David Lemieux flatten Spike O'Sullivan in his last fight. Saunders is a talker. Andrade is the guy that could really benefit from the exposure of Dazn and being more active at all times. As we see these two guys jawing a little bit.
Really getting it. This is what's exciting about weigh-ins to me, when these guys really get into it.
It's really the camps. The guys are usually calm, and the camps are kind of egg them on.
Nice handshake there.
I mean, it's hard not to respect each other in this type of sport. You know?
But to finish the point on Demetrius Andrade, when you talk to people that knew him in the amateurs and sparred against him, Sean Porter went against him, Terrence Crawford went against him, they will consistently say that Demetrius Andrade was one of, or the most talented guy that they've ever gone up against. He has had promotional problems. He has been his own worst enemy at times in the ring. His last fight against Fox, not a good fight aesthetically. But he has a chance, if he's active, if he wins a belt over the next couple of years, to really show people just how good he is. He honestly, it's not hyperbole, he has Hall of Fame level talent. He is that good.
I agree. Does he need to take some notes from some of the guys that are more outspoken outside of the ring?
He's outspoken. I mean, I think that's not his problem. I just like to see him blend that skill with a few chances. Go for knockouts when they're there. Try to mix it up. Get the attention. He gets a belt around his waist and puts on an entertaining fight with the money that Dazn would back him with, Eddie Hearn would back him with. He'll have a chance of getting a Golovkin, a Charlo, maybe a Canelo in the ring at some point.
How do you even think he fares against any of these guys? Like the Charlo brothers.
I'd like to see what he looks like in this fight. He's just been so inactive. If he had been more active, I would say he's neck and neck. I think he has the talent. He has more talent than anybody in the division, including Golovkin.
And that's just what the eye test, because he really hasn't fought in the A-level competition.
But it doesn't mean it's not true. Guys like Errol Spence is one of those guys where, he has one big Kell Brook win, but it's more an eyeball test.
Yeah, look,
before that, they were saying he was one of the pound-for-pound best.
You won't find anybody that's known Andrade over the years who doesn't say this guy is a great fighter. Brian McIntyre, the trainer for Terrence Crawford, was gushing about him to me just a couple of weeks back. I mean, he's special, man. I hope he puts out not just a winning performance for him. I feel this for him, not just a winning performance, but an appealing performance so he can sell the fans.
Absolutely.
I think at this time in the sport, there are a lot of divisions that are kind of popping, so to speak. Remember, at one point it was such a welterweight division, and in the middleweight division now we got heavyweights, we got bantamweights, obviously welterweights, middleweights, light heavyweights. I mean, it's been a long time since all across the board there are exciting fighters and exciting fights to be made.
Are we whispering now too? Is that a thing? Are we going?
I guess the quieter it gets, the quieter we get.
Are we changing our tone of voice based on the backdrop there? I'm not so sure. You're right though.
When it's quiet back there, we start whispering. I guess
Here you have Callum Johnson, a monster.
Okay, the crowd is here to see him. That's understandable.
This is the fight that you cannot miss.
Yeah, this is one of those fights that I don't expect the judges to be involved at the end. I don't.
I agree with you.
Callum Johnson knows that this is probably his last chance. I mean, he's got an interesting backstory that people can read about, but getting this IBF opportunity, an opportunity that, by the way, many fighters turn down.
Does he have a shot?
He can bang, so he's got a shot, but if it becomes a slugfest, my money's on Artur Beterbiev.
I agree.
Absolutely. They just weighed in now. They both weighed actually the same amount, and
Do we need
Fight
to
is
get, like,
on.
the 4 guys that did the Dazn commercial, how to pronounce Dazn, to do the Better BF one? Can we get them involved, too?
I can't say it at all. I'm working on it, but I'm known
We
to butcher.
better be saying it right. That's all I know.
Hey, how about that?
My MO is butchering names. I'm known for that, so I can get away with it.
That's good. You should do more television. That's good. That's good.
So these guys are about to face off.
Yeah, the key for Better BF, as we said, activity. When he
Right.
throws punches, he hits extremely hard, harder than anybody in the 175-pound division, including Kovalev, including Eleider Alves, including Dimitri Bivol.
Wow.
We're all hard hitters. I think Better BF hits harder than all of them.
I mean, he looks in great shape.
He looks like a machine.
Yeah. Feel like he didn't struggle to make weight.
I was talking to Russ Amber up there, member of his team, described him as special. Just said special fighter. Stop the fight. He's got a new trainer in his corner after only 3 fights. Roger Bloodworth was his longtime trainer. He split with him about a year ago, got with a new trainer. Will the new trainer, if he sees Adamek taking a beating, will he pull the plug on it for his own safety there? Because he's going to give up close to 100 pounds.
Right.
And Adamek, look, Jarrell Miller thinks that Adamek's going to run. If Adamek runs, that's the first time I've seen Tomas Adamek run.
And obviously, I agree with you in terms of his corner being able to stop it because he won't. You know, a lot of these fights got to be safe for themselves. Safe.
He does, and
I think
it's always, and I was asking some of his former promoters this over the course of the last couple of days, why is Adamek fighting? He doesn't need money. He's got plenty of money. He's got rental properties in Jersey. He's fine. His wife is a nurse, so they do fine. He started 317.
317, Jarrell Miller.
Wow. Jarrell Miller. But their response to me on Adamek, he loves to fight. That's it.
What
Just
is it
loves to
about
fight.
the Polish community, Chris, that they're so supportive, even if their fighter's not the A-side, so to speak, maybe not even a star prospect, they come out. I mean,
I think it comes down to how many Polish fighters do you know that aren't in entertaining fights?
Right, that's
like,
true.
You know,
And they all go out on their shield no matter
we just
what.
saw it at the Barclays Center a few weeks back, so Adam Kornacki
Yes.
blast away Charles Martin in an entertaining fight. As you mentioned, Adamek, we've seen him fight. Andrew Galata, when he wasn't crazy, was entertaining. So you know, these guys, they come to fight. Adamek's going to come to fight on Saturday.
It's a guarantee. They're about to face off. No, Big Baby going to have a couple of things to say.
Listen, for 41
Though
years old, he looks
respects-
good. That's definitely not a dad bod over there.
Not at all.
It's about 100 pound difference, though.
Yeah.
It's interesting. He told me his wife tried to talk him out of fighting. His daughter tried to talk him out of fighting.
It's Adamek.
He just won't do it.
Adamek seems to be the only one that wants this fight. And look at that size difference. Look at the size
like
difference.
Hiding behind
between
Big Baby.
these
I
two
can't
guys.
even see Adamek right now.
Big Baby looks like an hourglass.
Big guy, man, big guy. Chris, speaking of his wife not wanting him in the fight, we talked to Tony Bellew yesterday, and he claims that, his wife,
gave an
ultimatum. He said, this is it. After this Usyk fight, you are done. He himself said he actually hopes that Usyk beats the fight out of him, meaning he wants to win, but he wants it to be such a tough fight that he wants to be done with the sport after.
It's interesting because if we take him at his word and they say that this is it, the end for Tony Bellew, imagine that 12th round. You go into that 12th round, whether you're up on the cards, down the cards, you know this is the last 3 minutes of your professional boxing career.
Right.
You are going to go to the mat. You are going to go out and throw everything that's left in you. Very few fighters go into fights like that with that in their mindset. Adam's retired like 7 times. Fighters walk away from.
That's a good point.
It's safe to say that I don't believe him.
Even Floyd Mayweather, when he was supposed to last fight against Andre Berto, he has brittle hands, but the last round he almost dropped Berto. He
did.
Finally did a combination just because he knows that this could possibly be the last time he steps in this ring.
Behind us right here, Big Baby.
That's not the person you want throwing a kiss at you.
You said 315. That was 317.
I ate a donut last night, man. I couldn't help it. And the calzone, too. Y'all set me up.
You ate that
calzone put 2 extra pounds on me, expected to come in at 315
If I smell
pounds.
water, I'm going to put at least 5 pounds on. That's horrible, boy. This big boy life is not easy.
How many cheeseburgers this weekend? I mean, you can't live without.
No, I haven't had any burgers in about a month, really.
Really?
Yeah, my diet was pretty good, my whole diet. I just still eat and live, but not junk food. But a lot of rice and beans, too, so,
Should we expect you to get Adamek out of there before the 12th round?
Yeah, we definitely go get him out before 12th
Are you giving the zone a prediction? Giving us a round? A Muhammad Ali round?
Thomas Adamek got to go in 5 because the head is big, so I give him a high 5. Yeah, there we go.
Do you really think he's going to move as much as you think he is? Because
he's definitely going to move. He's definitely going to move.
So we're not going to see the old Adamek that goes forward?
Nah. He ain't coming forward. I mean, he's gonna try in spurts, but the minute when his jab bounce off my left tricep or shoulder, he's gonna be like, okay, forget about this. We're gonna go this way, So it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a fun fight for a couple rounds, but eventually you're gonna see realistically what my side's gonna do to him.
Are we gonna see power punches out the gate, or are we gonna see taps? Because you have the biggest output, but some of those are not necessarily power punches.
Not power punches, but I think this fight we worked a lot more on quality instead of quantity of punches. So, like I said before, even my last 2-3 fights, I really haven't thrown my right hand the way I wanted to. We kind of more like just beat a guy out punch him.
Why is that?
It was a mentality. When I fought Gerald Washington, it was an Al Heyman card, and I was fighting a PBC fighter last minute. So I was so frantic that I had to outwork this guy no matter every round. So I couldn't really sit down and wait for him to retaliate. I had to really jump on him. So I kind of took it into the Morris Walk fight where I want to get in better shape, but actually hindered me. I got the 275 that whole entire camp.
Yeah, he was skinny.
And it was the worst camp I ever had. My left hand was just banged up, and I wasn't sitting on my punches, so I had that same mentality. Right. And then the last fight, Johan Duplessis, I kept him alive because I hit him, uppercut, had him while we hurt, and I helped pick them back up. So, I think the inactivity for 11 months is finally brushed it off. And I think in this fight now, while I'm sparring, I'm touching guys, but I'm getting them out of there.
You know that the difficulties that they've had making Wilder versus Joshua, that continues to this day. Eddie Hearn's obviously here. Anthony Joshua is most likely going to be watching. Yeah. Do you think about that going into the ring in terms of how you want to perform?
Yeah, I mean, every fight is different, for every fighter. So just because he sees something here don't mean he's going to be ready for what I bring to him. You know what I mean? He's the kind of guy that guys 230 have backed him up before. You know what I'm saying? So imagine a guy 300 pounds that hasn't been hurt in a fight and doesn't really back up. It's a different mentality.
So Jesse Vargas just made weight. Let's go over here to the...
Good luck, Terrell.
Yeah, Thank you, man. No, you stop first. All right, so... both fighters made weight, both look in shape.
We're about to do the infamous stare down.
And
two pretty
I
boys.
guess Jesse Vargas has to feel good, Chris. This is the first time he's actually in the A side. He's actually getting the attention, I guess, that he never had. He's always been a B side in the big fights. What do you think that does to a fighter?
Look, it obviously gives them a boost of confidence. But I think both these guys go in knowing what's at stake here and knowing that at their respective ages in the prime of their careers, what a step back it would be if he loses. Like the way I see this fight, Jesse Vargas is a clear favorite to win a decision. If it's a knockout, Thomas Delorme is a favorite to win a knockout. Second fight now working with the great Joel Diaz in his corner. and Delorme has real power with that right hand.
Yes. I think that
Obviously, this is his last shot.
We got a little pushing, little shoving match going on.
Wow.
They were trying to flex. They got in each other's way.
I think Delorme realized that this is his definite last shot, last hurrah to make any noise in the welterweight division.
This is intense.
Didn't seem like, you know, before this that these guys had any animosity against each other. It seems a little different here at the weigh-in.
Well, and as I've never had to cut weight for a fight, I would imagine this is the peak moment of you feeling like garbage.
No.
The Pedialyte will be flowing.
No, I've seen it. I've seen Jesse already drunk half of this Pedialyte.
I'm going to tell you, Jesse is not a knockout artist, but he has the heart of a knockout puncher.
Right.
And I think he's going to bring it. And I think he might even score a knockout in this fight.
We'll see.
Look, Delorme's been down.
Yes.
You know, but he's been down against some of the best.
Great
He's been
fight.
down against Terrence Crawford.
Yes.
That was.
Yeah, we're gonna talk to Eddie Hearn's gonna be coming in a few moments. We'll talk about this card, his first Dazn card in the U.S.
Definitely a special thing.
All right, Chris, so we want to thank you for chopping it up with us,
guys.
as always. Great boxing talk.
See, you go from me then to Eddie Hearn. I still don't think. Is this
still
a
the
step
top
up
guy.
or a step
We're
down?
quite similar.
We're quite similar.
Jeans, yeah.
Ask him to do the Drake dance. He'll do it right here.
Kiki.
How we doing, chaps? How we doing?
What's up, man? All right, so Eddie, here it is, first exclusive Dazn card in the U.S. You know, the weigh-ins was exciting. I mean, Johnson brought half of the arenas come from Johnson.
You see how the Brits do,
Yeah,
right?
they always come out. And they all have money. They can all travel. That's what it is. Money's good.
But, you know, ultimately, this is a huge card. 3 World Championship fights. Yeah. And then that's just the undercard.
Right.
You know, you've got Big Baby Miller in a big fight against Adamek, Jesse Vargas at Delorme. Trust me, those styles for that 147 clash are going to be a great, great fight. I've got to say, I can't wait for Beterbiev against Johnson.
Oh, man,
because that dude is scary.
Yeah, that's
I mean, Beterbiev may actually not be human.
Right.
I'm not sure. We may have to test him.
He is a
after this
machine.
fight.
He looks like a machine.
you know
He fights like a machine.
He's carved out of stone.
Yes.
No, I've been singing that tune all week. I said, listen, first of all, the 3 championship fights were overlooked. People didn't realize 3 world title fights. These are not BS fights. And not to mention, you know, that particular fight. This gentleman that you mentioned, I mean, I think he's eventually going to be a star in the sport again. I mean, this is his shot. I mean, Johnson has a tough task ahead of him. It's safe to say.
Johnson's one of our fighters from the UK. He's undefeated. Right. He was a stellar amateur, Commonwealth Games gold medalist. He can really punch as well.
Right.
But it's like, what do you do against a guy? It's a bit like Golovkin in the early stages of his career. Right. And still now, when he cuts you off in the ring, you have no choice but to stand and fight. Yeah. I remember in the Kell Brook fight against Gennady Golovkin, you box off the back foot for only so long. Right. And then he cuts the ring off so well, you have to stand and trade. Right, and when you're standing and trading with a puncher like Beterbiev, you know, it's over. Right. So what do? You can't outbox him, you can't outstrength him. And the one thing I say about Callum Johnson is he can really hit, really hit. And we see Beterbiev down once in the pros. It was a flash knockdown, but he still hit the canvas. So in a way, Johnson's best chance is to stand and trade with Beterbiev, which is so dangerous.
Is scary.
I know, but what can you do?
You know, and Eddie, you know, we all know that Adamek is past his prime, but this is a big test for Big Baby because if he wins big, wins impressive, knockout win, he's in a mix, he's in a talk.
Yeah, I think the bigger pressure for Big Baby Miller is to always look good. He's expected to beat Adamek tomorrow night. There'll be loads of Polish in the house. There'll be a great atmosphere, and I do think that early on in the fight, Adamek will have success. He's light, he does have speed, and Big Baby Miller has just weighed in at 318 pounds. I had to get my calculator out and check how many stones that was. That's nearly 24 stone. That's the biggest heavyweight in the sport.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
And this is a guy who's top 3 heavyweight in some organisations, top 10 in everybody's book. So he's going to be hard to beat when he's leaning on you and he's walking you down. Right. And you're only 220 pounds or whatever Adamek was. It's going to get tough in the fight. The one thing I will say is this fight was contracted for 10 or 12 rounds. Right. Because of how many fights we've got on this card, I requested 10 rounds. Big Baby Miller, being Big Baby Miller, was happy with 10 rounds.
Of course.
Because it was 2 rounds less.
Of course.
Adamek said, no way. Right. This has to be 12 rounds.
I have a better chance bringing him
that
to
tells
deep
you
waters.
this guy is not here to survive.
Yeah, he's here to win.
And he knows if he beats Big Baby Miller, all of a sudden he's calling out the shots with a big fight. So I expect Miller to come through,
and I expect him to knock Adamek out tomorrow night.
So what kind of performance is going to get him April 13th date or whatever?
I think a brutal performance, a ruthless performance, and a ruthless and brutal knockout. People love show-real knockouts. You know, people want to see, and I think what he'll do is, like I said, he may get outboxed in the first round, 2 rounds, but then he's going to throw Adamek around like a rag doll in there. He's going to back him up. He's going to whip those big shots to the body.
Yes.
He's going to use his size, and he's a nightmare, Big Baby Miller. He's going to be tough to beat because he's such a size. If he has a good chin, which I get the feeling he does, he's going to be very, very difficult
Eddie,
to beat.
I have to say, I mean, you've been a fight fan for a long time. We all know about the news at HBO after 45 years. How many bottles did you pop that night when you got the news?
Listen, I haven't been hit with a bitterness bug of the business yet. I'll get there one day. When I'm 60 or 70, I'll be the most miserable man you ever met. But it's never great to see a brand so synonymous with the sport of boxing like HBO leave.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we live in a marketplace that is so competitive and so fierce. And if you haven't got the desire or the pockets, you might as well leave because you can't be #1. And I think HBO took the position, we don't want to be an also-ran in the boxing market. We're either HBO or we're out. And they're out. And they'll be back because we're going to make this sport so big that everyone's going to be back.
Everybody want to come back.
Exactly.
So listen, we heard you got a new signing.
Yeah.
You want to introduce him now? You want to bring the young man in?
This handsome young man, Diego Pacheco.
Tall young man.
How you doing, sir?
Fighting at 160 pounds. It's going to be a middleweight. I mean, how's it feel, man, to sign to such a big promoter? You're on this network that's actually taking off.
Introduce yourself.
Right, talk to the people.
My name is Diego Pacheco. You know, I'm from LA. I'm 17 years old, and I just signed with Matchroom Boxing.
Listen, I'm the one with the mouth, right? I'll tell you. Stop being so polite. 8-time national champion.
And how
Junior
old is
Olympics.
he?
He's 17 years old.
17 years old.
He's 6'4".
He had to get a permission slip to be here.
Yes, his mother is right over there.
But this is exactly what we want to do. Of course, we want the big names, the world championship fights, but we want to bring through the best young talent in the sport of boxing. This guy, I've seen his Instagram, he was round some big promoters' houses trying to court him, and we won the race.
What was it about Eddie Hearn that made you say, you know, I feel at home, this is where I want to go?
Well, you know, it was my whole team, you know, my family, everyone. We came together and we had a lot of options, you know, a lot of big promoters, but I don't know, I just felt Eddie Hearn, you know, it was the move, yeah.
We agree. We feel like it's the right decision. You know what, and I'm okay with the age, man. Let's not forget about the guys like Wilfredo Benitez at 17 years old winning a world title. I mean, it's okay to be a young fighter. This is a young man sport.
And it's a bit like leaving college. Do you go to university or do you go and get a job?
Right.
And after 3 years of getting a job, you'll be much better placed than you would be leaving university.
True.
And that's the plan with Diego Pacheco, is let him learn, let him develop. He's got a great training team. Tim Van Nieuwhouse of Split Team Management looking after him, making sure we take the right fights at the right time. Box him all over America, box him in the UK as well. Check out his Instagram, his social accounts. This boy can punch. He's long, he's rangy, he has great shot selection.
Size,
I know.
So the potential of him moving up in weight classes is enormous.
Can you imagine if this young man is what we believe he is, coming through 17, 18, 19, with their Mexican support, you know, with those cheeky good looks as well that he doesn't like to talk about. It's going to be exciting, and we hope to add, 3 amateurs as well, debuting on this card on Saturday night. Reshat Mati, Nkosi Solomon, Nikita Ababi. You know these guys. These are good young characters, personalities, and talent. Not everyone will make it in the sport of boxing, but we will ensure and guarantee they're given every opportunity. It's just about talent and hard work. And if they work hard and they have the talent, like Diego Pacheco, I believe he'll go on and be a multi-weight world champion because he's going to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, but the hard part is staying true to the blueprint, because you had another guy who was young, who moved very quickly. His name was Anthony Joshua. And he accomplished things so quickly like this young man. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, we thought a couple of more years you'd fight for a title, but we have an opportunity with Charles Martin. So we got to push you in there and maybe a little bit too fast.
When should we expect him to be in the ring?
Well, he's definitely going to box this year. He's 17, so in many states he can't box till he's 18, which is March. But we must get him out once this year, and then he's going to box all over America next year, in the UK as well. And you're right, you know, although we're going to take him nice and slow, I also get the feeling with this young man, we might be forced to move a little bit quicker than expected. But certainly for the first year or two, relax,
Do you feel you're ready? Do you feel you're ready already?
I'm ready, definitely.
He's ready to fight. Look out for the boys. Very talented, decorated amateur is going to be fighting professional real soon. And don't forget, tomorrow night, tune in at Dazn, Worlds Collide, Jesse Vargas versus Thomas Delorme, and a ton of other fights. Worlds are literally colliding tomorrow night, so you don't want to miss it. Hakim Barak, Dazn.